Hello everyone and welcome to another Power Rangers comic review. Today we'll be reviewing Go-Go Power Rangers issue 26. And issue 26 was quite an interesting issue, but we'll get into it when we get into the review. So issue 26, we're still in the middle of Necessary Evil. Necessary Evil is halfway done at this point. I don't know how many issues are done, but I get the feeling it's going to end at issue 30 or issue 50 of Mighty Morphin and issue 30 of Go-Go. I don't know entirely, but I get the feeling that it's going to be wrapping up very shortly, probably around May or something when we get to issue 50. I don't know when issue 50 and that will be out, but I get the feeling that's when it will be out, roughly around May or April or something like that. But issue 26 of Go-Go Power Rangers, it was quite an interesting issue, and a lot happened, and it flew by really quickly in my live reaction, me reading it. Maybe I read it too fast or something like that, but once it's over, it's over. When it gets to the real juicy bit, you have that cliffhanger. It's like, oh, I wanted to read more, and sadly it was over. So this issue mostly focused on the journey that Tommy goes on to get the white light powers. He meets up with Saba, and unfortunately Lord Zedd tracks him down, so he's fighting Lord Zedd off at the same time, which is kind of weird because Tommy first fights Lord Zedd in that three-parter where he's trying to rescue Kat or Kimberly, I can't remember, one of them. He's trying to save one of them back in the day, all those episodes. The issue opens up on the moon 7 months after Arrival Day, so this flashback takes place sometime in between Green with Evil, and I really do like this dinner that Tommy and Rita are having, because I really like how the throne room is drawn, because one of the chairs that Rita's sitting on, it looks like an actual monster, like just the way it's drawn. It's got little eyes, it looks like it's got little teeth with the carving on it. It looks really creepy and freaky looking, but I do like seeing Pandora's Palace when we get to have a look at it with all the different rooms. We've seen it in the comics, like with the prison place that Matt was held in and stuff like that. So it's always cool to see like different rooms that Rita's Palace has in the comics. So it's got Rita and Tommy eating dinner, and Tommy's basically eating the food that Rita prepared for him, or someone prepared for him. And Rita asks for an opinion, saying, "What do you think, Tommy?" And Tommy's response is, "I think that I live to serve." And this angers Rita because Tommy is basically a drone that responds with dead responses, saying he just basically is sort of like a robot, a mindless slave, she puts it. And Rita's annoyed that she was hoping that she could give the green power coin to her champion, which I'm guessing her champion is either Golda or someone. I'm guessing it's Golda, because Golda is her right-hand man, or maybe it's Scorpino. We see Scorpino eventually, but she says my champion, so I get the feeling it's Golda. That's who she wanted to give it to, but unfortunately she has to give it to a mindless slave who's a teenager who can't even think for himself. And Tommy's like, yeah, I can think for myself, I'm glad that you gave me these powers, but I want to conquer the world with you and all that stuff. So that's where the flashback kind of ends, and yeah, it's just another look at Tommy serving with Rita, which is always interesting when the comic dives into it, because if you did watch Zoolanger or Zoolanger, whatever you want to pronounce it as, you did get to see Borai sometimes chilling up there on the set of Pandora's Palace, where he'd just be in that main throne room. They didn't use the footage in the Power Rangers TV show due to Sentai, but yeah, you usually got to see Borai chilling up there sometimes in the Sentai, which was always cool. And it's always cool to see that in the Power Ranger perspective through the comics, with Tommy chilling up there on the moon with Rita. So Tommy lands in this strange new place where he'll get his white light powers, and I really do like it. It's like another well-drawn place. It's like in old ruins. You see stuff falling apart, you see just the sky cracking or something like that. The sky is really strange in contrast, and before him appears a white tiger, which is really cool, because if you remember the whole Lord Drakon power, I believe his spirit animals that you saw back in the day was a white tiger and a giant falcon, I believe. So that's also really interesting. And with this quest that Tommy's on, it's a white tiger that guides him. So Tommy finds himself at this palace where he sees the white tiger coin, and before him is Saba. And Tommy's like, "What's up, Saba? I missed you, buddy. Long time no see." Because Tommy thinks he's talking to the Saba that we saw in the World of the Coinless, but Saba reassures him, saying, "Hey, I'm not that Saba, I'm a totally different Saba." But he also calls himself the Sword of Light, and Tommy and Saba, or the Sword of Light, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to call it Saba so it's less confusing. Tommy and Saba have a conversation, and Tommy's trying to convince Saba to let him have the powers of the Sword of Light, because Tommy needs the powers to protect his friends, because he wants to save them, he wants to save the world. And Saba's like, if you want these powers, you have to fight me. And this is what I mentioned earlier. You see Saba fighting Tommy, and Saba just headbutts him with his little hilt, which is kind of funny because it just has a little whack sound effects. He gets him in the chin. Like, Tommy's getting his butt kicked by a sword that can levitate and shoot laser beams. And I do like this fight. It's really interesting. You see these this contrast and colors that really make it stand out with this temple. It's not dark and gruesome. Like, the lighting for this fight really helps her. Props to the colorist of this comic, like making the lighting that stand out. So Tommy and Saba have this fight, and Saba's like, I don't know if I want to give you the powers, because last time you became a ranger, or you wanted power, look what happened. Lord Drakon happened, and I know you're not the same as Lord Drakon, but Lord Drakon nearly destroyed all of reality. Do we want another Lord Drakon on our hands? And I love the panel where Saba is talking about Lord Drakon, because you just see Lord Drakon just standing there. He's holding his Drakon helmet in one hand, and in front of him is the Green Ranger helmet, and behind him is the silhouette of his army and the Black Dragon Zord, which is also really cool. It's a really cool freaking panel. I'll definitely show it up in the review while talking about it, but it was one of my favorite panels of this comic. And Tommy and Saba, they keep fighting, they fight each other off, and then after that, Lord Zedd appears, and Lord Zedd's like, I tracked you down, Tommy, because I knew Zoran would want to power up his favorite ranger again. I knew that would happen. That's why I left you alive. It was all part of my plan the entire time. Haha. So Lord Zedd says, Tommy, why don't you take that white light and join me? Because I know that you love power. You craved for power. I kept an eye on you when you served Rita, which is really interesting that Lord Zedd was watching these stuff with Rita the whole time during that first season of Mighty Morphin. He did mention that in the TV show, I remember, but it's cool to see Lord Zedd mention that he was watching that stuff the whole time, which, why didn't Lord Zedd intervene? Because, I know, because of comics and TV show logic, but yeah, it's interesting that Lord Zedd said he was watching the fight the whole time. So Lord Zedd grabs a hold of Saba, and this is where it looks really cool, because Saba's being held by Lord Zedd, and Saba just looks really freaking cool. Like, his eyes go all red, he turns all black. It sort of looks like the legacy blade of Saba, which is really freaking cool, because I think it's Saba being infused with Lord Zedd's dark energy, so it looks really menacing and evil. I freaking love it. So the comic ends with Lord Zedd saying, Tommy, why don't you just take the power of the white light and bend it to your will and serve me? Together we can rule this world, haha. And that's where the comic ends. Meanwhile, on the other side, we've got Jason being confronted by Trini and Zack, like we saw at the end of last month's issue, where Trini and Zack discovered Jason doing stuff with the Blue Emissary, and this didn't really go anywhere, unfortunately. Like, Jason didn't even get a chance to explain himself, because they got called by Billy on the communicator because Nimrod was attacking. But I guess in next month's issue, or the next issue after that, we're gonna get an explanation what's going on. But Jason didn't even get to explain himself. He's like, guys, trust me, I'll explain what's going on after this, but we had nothing to do with Zordon disappearing. Maybe we did, but we don't know. But just trust me, we're not meaning you any harm. This blue floating guy, he's a friend of mine. He's going to help us out. Trust me. So that never went anywhere, unfortunately. So I was hoping we would see some more stuff to do with the Omega Rangers, but because this is set in between, well, this whole arc that we're in now, starting from issue 25, I believe. Yeah, because 24 was the Bulk and Skull stuff, I believe. So, this whole issue, talking about what's going on with the stuff with Nimrod and Tommy on his own journey, that's like its own retelling of the White Light two-parter. So it's retelling that in its own special way through the comics, which is also really interesting. So, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen, how they retell it, because I remember there was a Bulk and Skull side story in the TV show where Rita crashes to Earth and they find Rita and they try opening up the pot. So unfortunately that doesn't happen in the comic from what we know so far. Maybe it's happening right now and we don't see it, but we're not really focusing on it in the comics right now. It's not the main focus of attention. Like, Ryan doesn't need to retell that. comic relief stuff going on right now. He's mostly focusing on the action and the journey that Tommy and Jason are going on right now. So unfortunately nothing happens between Jason and the Blue Emissary right now. He never gets a chance to explain himself, like I said earlier, because it cuts to the Nimrod stuff where they fight the monster of the day, Nimrod, and the Rangers are getting their ass kicked by Nimrod. So we all know where this is going. The Rangers are going to get their ass kicked by Nimrod, they're going to need help, and then Tommy's going to show up and save the day with his brand new powers eventually. So that's probably going to happen in issue 27, I believe, because I think they've got the Thunder Megazord finding Nimrod on that cover, and then issue 28 is going to be the Rita backstory that we're getting. So who knows where we're going so far, but this is just its own retelling of what. Apart from that, this issue was very, very Tommy central. I mean, we only got 4 pages on the whole Jason and the Blue Emissary stuff leading up to the Omega Rangers. We only got like 4 pages focusing on that, if you count when they go to join the battle against Nimrod. We got 2 pages in the flashback with Rita. No, 3 pages on that. I'm looking at the page numbers now. We got 3 pages on that, and the rest were very, very Tommy focused, with Tommy on his white light journey. So this issue was like 80% Tommy or 90% Tommy, and the rest was mostly focusing on the other side of the Rangers, who didn't get much screen time. And I understand why, because this journey for Tommy is somewhat important, because it's sort of retelling how he became the White Ranger, so they can't really dance around it or gloss over it. It's like a special retelling of how he became the White Ranger and got his white light powers, because that is kind of important, how it ties into the Mighty Morphin part of the comics, with all that stuff he was feeling when Necessary Evil started in issue 40 of Mighty Morphin. But yeah, this was mostly very Tommy focused, and that isn't a bad thing, because Tommy in the comics is more interesting than he is in the TV show. I do enjoy that. But with Lord Zedd showing up and stuff like that, I am curious to see where it goes, how he's going to stop him, and how he becomes a White Ranger in this situation. I guess we'll see what happens. I got the feeling it'll just fight off Lord Zedd, and then the whole Nimrod stuff will happen. We'll see what happens, but overall I want to give this issue like a 7 out of 10. It was interesting plot-wise, and I did enjoy the artwork, but it's very Tommy focused, and I don't hate Tommy as a character. I just kind of wish we spent time focusing on the other Rangers instead of Tommy, but I guess it is what it is. This issue was mostly the Tommy show, but that isn't a bad thing. That isn't a bad thing if you think about it. I mean, because like I said earlier, this is bridging together the stuff, how Tommy gets his powers in the comic version of Necessary Evil, and how he feels when he starts talking about the powers in issue 40 way back then. So we'll see where it goes. We'll see what kind of bridge this creates, because no doubt about it, this is definitely going to be the bridge in between how he gets his powers and stuff. Like, I have said that like 5 times already, but this was a good issue, and I really did enjoy it. I can't wait to see where it goes from here and what they'll retell in White Light next, because like I keep saying after every Go-Go Power Rangers review and in my Mighty Morphin stuff, I really hope we get a retelling of how we see Adam and Aisha joining, and when they do the power transfer for those sets of episodes. So I really hope we get a special retelling of that stuff, and it's not glossed over, like we get to go into some detail, like the White Light stuff. So we'll see what happens eventually down the line. Hopefully Ryan's got something planned for Rocky, Adam and Aisha, introducing him into the comics. We'll see what happens when we get there in a few months, but either way, this was a fun issue. Apart from it being very Tommy focused, I did enjoy it quite a bit, and I can't wait to see where this Lord Zedd fight goes, because Lord Zedd's got Saba in his hand, and Saba's looking a bit corrupted in his hand. So we'll see where it goes next month. And yeah. Anyway guys, I'm going to wrap up this review of Go-Go Power Rangers 26. If you enjoyed this review, slap a like on the video. If you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button. As always, tell me what you guys thought of the issue down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your opinions. Anyway guys, this is Ash signing out. Have a wonderful day or night. Take care of yourself, and peace out. Bye.